So we're here today, and I think some folks had mentioned this a little bit earlier. We are in a very interesting political context. There are attacks on social and emotional learning from folks who are trying to deprive young people of the skills that they need to be successful. And I want to name this because Brandon and I, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we went over to Tennessee, Chattanooga County, and folks are saying, well, you know, those attacks are coming out of red states. You know, they don't vote Democratic anyway. There is not a coincidence that the majority of the black population are in these states in which attacks against SEL and attacks against culturally responsive and critical race theory, attacks against history that include and are accurate representations of the United States are happening. So as we get into this conversation today, I really want to think about the context of social and emotional learning for black people in this political sense, and what the organizations you guys are doing to represent, or what your organization that you represent are doing to support SEL for the black community in this political context. So let's start over here with Josh. Tell me about how you see your organization supporting black SEL in the context of some of the attacks that you've seen.
Thanks for that question.
You're welcome.
One of the ways that Southern Vision Alliance likes to think about our intervention and impact as it relates to social, emotional, and learning is that, one, social, emotional awareness and learning and development is a critical part to any kind of political organizing that's happening, social political awareness. It is a key kind of foundation to so many of the political movements that we are attached to over the last 100 or so odd years. And so it's a quintessential part of how our communities organize and gather and build power to disrupt the status quo. At Southern Vision Alliance, we leverage resources as an intermediary to organizations and grassroots formations of people who are trying to build power for their communities and do exactly that, disrupt the status quo. And the one thing I will say in addition to that is that, you know, we want power. Right, we want power. We are building power, and to say that we don't want that is a misnomer and just you're kind of, you know, kidding yourself. And so we're very honest about we want the power we need to shape our communities the way we want to and the way we need to. And a critical piece to those interrelational skills that we build with our 30 or so fiscally sponsored projects from around the state and the South is that social emotional development. In some places people call it relationship skills or people skills, right? But it's that relational kind of organizing model that is deeply kind of rooted in social emotional awareness that we are committed to year round as an organization.
So let me just take that back to you, right? Because what I heard is when you talk about building relationships, when you talk about building coalitions, maintaining coalitions across difference, because this is an ally panel, right? So we can't do it by ourselves, we do it in community. It's grounded in the application of these social emotional skill sets to things that empower the black community. Well, I appreciate that. Let me come over, Irene, to you, the same question, right? Like, how do you see the role of social and emotional learning play out in the context of some of these attacks? And what are we doing to build community and allyship towards the common good?
I wanted to share a quote from Paulo Freire from Brazil, and I think that this is grounded in, well, I'll share it first. This then, the great humanistic and historic task of the oppressed is to liberate themselves and their oppressors as well. The oppressors who oppress, exploit, and rape by virtue of their power cannot find in this power the strength to liberate either the oppressed or themselves. Only power that springs from the weakness of the oppressed will be sufficiently strong to free both. To me, that speaks to needing to reimagine everything systemically, and we know that policy is deeply enmeshed with our society, and we can't have, you know, I talk to people about the elections and about voting, and a lot of times the response is, well, I don't do political stuff, I'm not into that. But whether you do it or not, it's gonna impact you. And so when we see the attacks on Black communities, when we see that the humanity is not affirmed or valued or seen, that is essentially the foundation then upon which policy is extended. And it's no surprise there's an attack on all of our communities when the humanity of Black people is not taken into consideration. So the reason that my organization leads our principles by saying that we are pro-Black is because we understand that in order for us to transform our communities to the benefit of Latinx people, and again, Latinx people, we come in every shade. We have Afro-Latinos, Afro-Mexicans, we are the rainbow. So this is a issue that is personal on many levels, and also we know that we can't win. We can't get to that liberation that so many of us imagine and yearn for and want and know that we deserve if we are not risking giving up whatever little bit of access and power and whatever in order to advance those who are even more marginalized than we are. So.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I think as we think about American history, and we think about the role Black people played and continue to play in helping America live its promise, right? Words are words written on paper, but it is the sacrifice of those who made those words reality and continue to make those words reality that has delivered us. And as we think about who we need to bring on that journey, as we were delivered, how do we deliver others? Right, I really resonate with how you think about allyship and the word of community, the process of community making that happen. So thank you for that. And I'm going to move over to Tulu today. And I want to just one more time come back to this question.